Well, hey there, friends and family, loved ones, fools, magicians, gardeners, flowers in bloom, new life, new light, new love for all. How you doing? So it's been an interesting couple days and just doing my thing and working through my process of letting go. And that's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. Or, yeah, it is like something I have to do for my soul, for my growth, for my wholeness, for my healing. And it has not been easy, but there has been a lot of ease and there has been grace when I am able to let go and just allow. And so, working with the gift of forgiveness has helped a lot in those last couple weeks. And also, just like little gifts and gems and nuggets that come to me or come through me or come in for me and through, my being, my ways of being in the world, but not of it. And yeah, it's just super interesting, like to see certain things and then become aware of other things and continuing, like this continuity. And also like transforming like these old feelings, these old beliefs, these old attachments, these old identities, these old roles, and receiving clarity and understanding. At least little glimpses, and little moments of clarity and understanding through forgiveness, opening and softening and yielding, surrendering and letting go and suspending, and allowing what is to be, and allowing how I feel about everything, allowing my feelings to be, allowing the conflicts like to show me like where I've been at war with me and where I can choose peace and where I can choose harmony and where I can choose to surrender and let go. And so that's what I've been working with the last couple days, to forego. Can I just leave it alone? Can I let it be? Can I let it be what it is, instead of like going back into it again and again, trying to figure it out and trying to fix it? And that's been pretty challenging, like just to let it go and just to let it be, and just to watch and observe and witness and free it to be like what it is, like for our healing, for our cleansing, for our purification, for our like reconnection and a rewiring process, regeneration. So yeah, that's been a little bit difficult this week to forego. And so I wanted to review a little bit. And I got that from Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. To forego, to forbear, to forget, and to forgive. And I just want to review that for a moment. To forego, to forbear, to forget, and to forgive. What I had written down about that. To forgo, to leave it alone, to take a break. And so, yeah, with my frog medicine companion, and to take a break, hop to other lily pads and do something new, bask in the sun, eat some flies, swim in the water, sing and release and honor your tears, and yeah, remember to sing. And so, yeah, just been singing and doing some things around my house and uh, working on some creative projects and yeah, trying to like just get myself out of this rut that I feel I've been in. Feel like I've been stuck in the birth canal, but I know I'm not stuck. And it's just this part of the journey where I just get to let go and allow. So to forego. So I thought I would take that advice and forego and take a break and leave it alone. To forbear, to abstain from punishing. Abstain from punishing, like, yeah, or condemning. So this is a form of grace, like to let go and to loosen one's hold, particularly on memory, dropping the repetitive obsessing, and to forget, to aver from memory, to refuse to dwell or indulge, and to forgive is to abandon the debt, to cease to harbor resentment, giving up one's resolve to retaliate, a pardon to release a person without his having made any emotional or any other sort of restitution, forgiveness, the culmination of all foregoing, forbearing, and forgetting. Forgiveness is an act of creation. You are not waiting for anything. You are not wanting anything, and you are free to go. To forget, refusing to summon up the fiery material, we refuse to recollect. Recollect or recollect. Active, not passive. It means not to haul up certain materials or turn them over and over, to not work oneself up by repetitive thoughts, pictures, emotions, images, or memories of that injury. Living in a new landscape, creating new life and new experiences to engage in instead of the old or the past. And this does not erase memory, it just lays the emotion surrounding the memory to rest. And so that's what I got to work on last time I spoke about that little exercise of descansos, or descanso. And I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that, but it was a great little tool and a great little practice. And a way to acknowledge like those little deaths or those parts of the psyche that got to be laid to rest. The emotions surrounding those old injuries, old wounds, old hurts, and laying them to rest, acknowledging them, and thanking them for what they actually brought me and taught me, and how I've been able to integrate all of that. And now I can create something new with it. But yeah, it's been a year now since I shared my dream, anger is medicine, and was working through those themes all last year and this whole last year. And it's almost been a year since I started these alchemy videos, these alchemical play practice videos, to help keep me accountable, to help me like speak and share my experience, to share my voice, to share what I've been going through, what I've been working with and playing in and playing into and playing at being, and yeah, just discovering all these things and willing to show up and work through it, work with it, play back instead of fight back. Although like there is value in the fight, in the struggle, and wrestling with our Nemean lions and cleaning out our Aegean stables. All this, yeah, becoming and unfolding, claiming the power of the light and the shadow and the unseen parts of ourselves that sometimes we tend to project on others and outside of ourselves. And so I've been working with that and through that. And yeah, this tattoo that I have on my on my arm here, this mirror, I don't know if you can see it. It always reminds me that, yeah, whatever I see on the outside of me it can show me like more about me. And so I always do. I've always like maybe overdone it a little bit, like overindulged in self-reflection, but I so badly wanted to understand like what was going on here. What the fuck is going on here? And so yeah, it's just been a long journey, and yeah, with its share of good and hard and great lessons. And what wants to be said about that? Yeah, just time. Feel it's time now, like to move on and move forward. And I'm, yeah, willing to put new energy into something new to create something true. And it's been really awesome actually to allow myself to express what I've needed to, and to free my voice and allow like what I'm feeling to be expressed through my creativity and my ways of being, my self-expression, in order to allow like these aspects to be recognized, heard, seen, felt, met, integrated, or released, purified, cleansed, yeah, and included in the whole. So allowing myself to speak, yeah, what I need to, so that the wisdom can also emerge. Because the answers are within us. The answers that we need are within us if we are to ask and open to receive. And so just trusting that and allowing that, and allowing me to be like all I am and make mistakes and show up and be vulnerable and authentic in the best ways I'm able to, and yeah, as I'm able to, as I'm able to be right here with me. And it's a little more difficult sometimes and challenging when like some of those old programs are activated, and it's like those activations, like they can activate like the pain body and like the old trauma and the wounds and all the complexes and like those fears, those drivers that were unconsciously, yeah, drive us to certain behaviors or strategies to protect ourselves or to care for ourselves, because that's what we learned how to do. And so, yeah, it's just a lot of unlearning and a lot of unraveling and a lot of unwinding, like from the binds of the mind, and reminding myself of what's true. And so, yeah, I feel like this is like kind of a review of like this whole last year, but it does have a lot to do with the end of my dream from last year, Anger as Medicine, where it was a really super intense dream, and it did have a lot of these archetypal themes within it. And there was a huge end part of that dream where I was disappointed with my elders. I was upset with them. I was angry with them for not seeing, for not knowing, and for not seeing me. And so that's what I've been working on. I feel like working with, like, especially the last couple months since I've taken my break from social media and gone more within, and chosen to put my energy and my attention into like practices that serve me and nourish me and nurture me, and being a caregiver and a parent and a mother and a father to my child of me. And in order, like, yeah, to like be solid and to be stable and to have that structural integrity that I need for me, for my being, my ways of being, my ways of operating in this world and fulfilling my mission and my destiny and my soul's contracts, my growth that I'm here to choose for me, my service that I'm here to offer, and the gift that I'm here to be. So it has been challenging the last couple months in a lot of ways to deal, I guess, or just to be with my own grief. And it seemed a little easier, energizing in the beginning with so much of that fresh, raw anger to draw from, you know. But now, like, it is more about, like, temperance, tempering the wisdom. And, yeah, completion of a cycle of growth, and allowing it to be, like, and lead me to what's next, to the next initiation and the next chapter in my life and in my own story, my own experience. And so just reconciling some of these old things and some of these conflicts that I've had within me that have shown up in some of my relationships and in the mirrors that reflect me and we. Relationships, friendships, and family. So all of these patterns, generational, cultural, ancestral, familial, personal, collective, yeah, all of them have a lot of gold, and they have a lot, like, to show me about me, so I can know myself, and I can love myself, and I can be myself, and I can free myself, and I can own myself, self-ownership and sovereignty. And so that does relate to so many things, to really everything. Yeah, that's part of me, and that was asking for healing and attention and nurturing and inclusivity, acknowledgement. So I do acknowledge the growth that I've experienced and that I've had, especially in this last year. I can see the transformation and I can feel it within me. So I am grateful and I acknowledge that. And I think all that was a part of that, and all of the hard, all of the beautiful, all of the terrible, all of the amazing, I praise and I thank and I celebrate, like, the whole of it all. And so, yeah, there are just a few things that I've realized in the last couple weeks too, like, yeah, in my process of letting go and through my process of forgiveness and through my process and practice of play and creativity and self-expression and allowing myself, like, to share and to be vulnerable, even if it's not so pretty or polished, you know. And so a lot of things came up with this story of the handless maiden and women who run with the wolves. And yeah, I feel like I want to reread it again. But also I do want to share, like, some of the stages. There are the seven stages, which the number 7 keeps coming up again and again and again, which is pretty cool and awesome. Yeah. But yeah. Look a little more into numerology because I'm so fascinated by, like, cosmology, like, yeah, such a student. I'll be the perpetual student. Always learning. I love it. And it's been quite an opportunity to learn more about ourselves and each other and, like, our connection and who we really are, and remembering that. But yeah, it's day by day too, and it moment by moment, and there really are, like, better days and there are harder days, you know. And so it's interesting, and it's in its fullness, you know. and in the duality and the polarity and the unity of it that makes it all what it is. Yeah. So life can live. But yeah, there was some really interesting things in this Tale of the Handless Maiden, and I can really like identify with, and that resonates deeply within me, like the story. That's what, yeah, like stories have always spoken to me, and yeah, I feel like I'm not alone in that. I feel like we all love our stories. Yeah, what stories are our favorite stories? What stories do we like to tell? And yeah, like our scary stories and our poor me stories and our love stories and ain't it awful stories and how cool is that story and like how cool are my stories and how cool are we stories and how full are we stories? Yeah, how full are we of ourselves? Yeah, in those ways. But I may share a little bit about the first stage, the bargain without knowing, but we'll see how it goes. I didn't really know what I was going to share today. I just knew it was time to share. I thought about getting on yesterday and sharing a few things because I have been like trying to process or doing my best to process some things that, yeah, disappointments and just sorrow, just sadness and that have to do with the wounds of separation and, yeah, isolation and oppression and suppression and repression and regression, this degeneration and this fall of consciousness, like that is hard to witness in a lot of ways. But choosing compassion and choosing to invite joy and to invite love and to invite peace and all we need, like for our own healing and allowance and help with letting go and with forgiveness and with faith, trusting our own deepest experience and being willing, just being willing to open and soften. Yeah. And letting go of the need to be right, letting go of the need to be seen or recognized. So like that is a lot, like as I was in my practice of Descanos, I did realize that, yeah, and I was looking at like these 40 events in my life that I had written down, that it showed me like the rejection, the betrayal, and yeah, that pain of separation, the rejection, betrayal, and yeah, what was the other one? That's funny. It'll come to me. So yeah, but a lot of it had to do with like the rejection that I felt and where I had rejected my own self, or where different parts of myself were rejected or were disallowed or not allowed to be. So I hid them or I rejected them and projected them onto someone else so that they could carry it for me or they could hold it for me, or and I could be safe, like in my comfort zone, hidden away, like playing small and not wanting to see because that was too painful. Like, because I took it so personally, like I took on other people's garbage as my own, like in some unconscious way, because I'm empathetic and like I'm a sponge, so I would absorb everything and then I didn't know what to do with it, and I thought it was me. Thought it was about me, but it wasn't really. It is, but it isn't. In its own, yeah, interesting way. But yeah, I've been angry and upset, disappointed, full of resentment, but not bitterness. Like it was like subtle, like in a way, like barely perceptible, but it was there, and I could see that, like in a lot of ways before last year, that yeah, I could see like where Like I've had issues or like where like envy and jealousy and pride and vanity like got in the way of like me loving me or me, being me authentically and showing up for me and showing up for others. Like, yeah, it's interesting to see those things. And I really did and was able to see like a lot more about all of those things and how they related to my original wound, yeah, of rejection and betrayal and abandonment. And so, yeah, that was a pattern that played out in my life in a lot of ways through a lot of dynamics in certain relationships. And it was something that I wanted to work out for myself. And so, like, those things coming up in my life, that they were very, very painful. But, like, I thank that pain for showing me that that's, like, what I really needed was me and my own attention and my own affection and my own validation and my own reception. So receiving me because I wasn't received in the ways I wanted to be. Yeah. In my life, like in certain relationships, I was not received in the ways that I really wanted to be received, or valued in the ways that I wanted to be valued, or seen as worthy or as enough. And it was never enough for me. So I was never enough. And then that external validation was never enough. It was never going to be enough because what I needed was inside of me. So that's like one of the biggest gems and nuggets that, yeah, I've actually been able to practice and apply. I was like, yeah, okay, like dog medicine, loyalty to me and to my being, to my well-being, and to what my soul really needs and is asking of me. Loyalty to the things that I love, loyalty to what I know to be true, loyalty um, to myself, to my wholeness, to my fullness, to my truth. And so that has not been easy. Like letting go of what I wanted or what I desired to have with others, like especially certain friends and family members. And so, yeah, it's all like part of this awakening and this remembering too. And it's like letting go of attachments, which has been really kind of challenging to do. So, the last couple days I've been working with and through allowance and suspension and surrender and foregoing, like leaving things alone. And that is just like noticing, like when it pops back up again, like a certain story or a certain wound, and then just observing it instead of like getting into it and getting carried away by it and fueling it with my attention and my poor me, ain't it awful stories, or like savior martyr stuff, like, yeah, or to the rescue, caregiver, the rescuer. And like, how am I going to fix this? How am I going to save them? How am I going to convince them? You know, kind of a thing. And I know I don't need to. And so it's just like interesting to see that wounded aspect pop up and still try to continue like that pattern in certain ways because it's been going that way for so long. Like, them become aware of, yeah, when it does come up to be seen and then shifted or interrupted and repatterned and redirected. So to focus my attention on what's really true and like allow like that voice to speak or allow like myself to listen or witness from a neutral point of view and to either just like let it go and float on by or to receive like something new that I hadn't seen before. So develop a wider perspective. to expand into something new and something true, something more true. So, the last time I shared, um, I had written something down that said, I refuse to play the scapegoat for you for one moment more. I will not agree to your limited beliefs, agendas, strategies, stories, and projections. I do not agree to any to carry or reinforce your toxic emotional garbage. Please heal and attend to your own victim judge poverty consciousness of the lower beast hijacked ego. And so just like kind of looking into these things and exploring them. And yeah, some things, yeah, just kind of spontaneously emerged or like just organically unfolded. And so just working with them and working through them, even though it wasn't my intention to like go into them again, it was just like kind of letting myself be. I've been like taking a few naps this week and taking it easy and just like kind of just letting go of like what I think I'm supposed to do or how I'm supposed to be, and like just letting me be and following like what I feel and what I'm drawn to in the moment, and doing the best I can with what is and just being here with me. But I wrote, I let go to allow. I allow all things to exist today. I allow for the polarity. I allow for the whole. I allow for the black hole, the void, and the unknown. I allow for the old. I allow for the new. I allow for the false. I allow for the truth. I allow for all. I allow for the fool. I embrace, let go, and embrace the fool. Like, I am that. I am the fool. So, I am that fullness. So, seeing into things and seeing into me, seeing into emotions, agendas, and survival strategies, thought, repetition, and memory, programming, instinct, injury, and the psychic orphans, or the dead ghosts of the psyche, the complexes, the identities, the meanings, the stories, descriptions, perceptions, wounds, unconscious ways of operating, disempowered and empowered realities. So the filtering, social engineering. Yeah. We have our own filters and our own biases and our, like everyone has their own opinions, and that's okay that we do. Like, let's allow that too. And so just wanting to understand in a lot of ways to help me with my navigating, but also realizing that that can trip me up and get in my own way, like the need to understand. So I let go of the need to understand. I am aware of the desire to understand, but I can release and let go of the desire to understand and know like that it's okay not to know, and it's okay not to fully understand, and just to be okay with that. So opening, remembering, awakening, moving forward, softening, yielding, surrendering, releasing, willingness, forgiving, to receive fully and open to what is and what gets to be, what will come and what will be. Compassion, love, freedom, and liberation for all of we. Step into love and be one with me and we, through and for all. Allow them their own journeys, limitations, strengths, gifts, weaknesses, and potentials. And I do. I can let them go now. No need to change anyone's mind or be seen as enough by anyone but I. I'm AT. Seen, rewarded, accepted, or recognized. But I am worth noticing, aren't I? And I can choose to change my own mind and my own life, my own vibes and my own rhymes, my stories, myths, and silly lies. I ask and seek for truth and the sublime joy of feeling fully, truly alive. To forego, forbear, forget, and forgive. Refuse to indulge, leave alone, let go of, aver from memory, dissolve the debt or the hook. I really want to understand, but I release the need to know and understand. And so, yeah. And that's what I wrote. Yeah, I think April 3rd. And so the symbols that were coming up for me as well. This chalice, the Holy Grail, the crescent moon, the tree of life, the cauldron, the rooster, the stork, the raven, the sparrow, the dragon, the phoenix, the salamander, the trickster, the wise one, the fool, the son, the father, the self, the soul, the awakened heart, through loving all. And so, yeah. So I realized, like, probably a week or two ago, like, how upset I was feeling with my dad, because he's been such a lighthouse in my life, and he's taught me a lot of things, and just by being himself, and just by being and shining and sharing his light. And so I have been like super disappointed because my idealist and my romantic and uh, the innocent, my innocence, my innocent aspect, like that wants to be free and wants everyone to be free. And yeah, kind of like that eternal child, yeah, in me, felt very, very wounded, not feeling accepted or seen or recognized or believed in a lot of ways. And so it did add to like that wound of separation and that not enoughness, those not enough stories. And I worked on healing my mother wounds like years and years and years ago. And so I had already like been familiar with the patterns around that, like because I had gone deep into that. And but what I didn't realize is that I hadn't cleared or healed or even been aware of my father wounds, which I became aware of this year. And so I've just been working through that, as well as everything else. And so, yeah, a lot of it has to do with like this patriarchal system and, yeah, different things. But a lot of it has to do like with the personal, as well as the collective wounds from the fallen patriarchy. And like I've been so blessed to have such a beautiful, wonderful, loving dad and teacher that he and friend he has been. But yeah, this year it's been a little bit harder and a little, yeah, just hard to like allow these disappointments and these expectations. Yeah, just let go of them. And because I have like put certain people on a pedestal in a lot of ways, and then it just kind of like, yeah, seeing the rose-colored glasses shatter and see like that we're all human and we're all, yeah, infallible, and we all make mistakes, and we all have our lessons, and we all have our limitations, but we all have our strengths and potentials. And so like, yeah, it's interesting that I really like in a lot of ways, like even though I knew like my mentors and my elders and my teachers were also people, and they weren't perfect, and I know we all have our stuff, and we all have our bullshit, and we all have our wounds, and our good points, and our points that we're not so proud of, like, and like all of that. Like it's just kind of funny, like I don't know, just seeing into that, like how in one way, like I already knew that, but my idealist wouldn't actually let me see or penetrate that illusion. Like, yeah, this is confusion. And so I admire my dad in a lot of ways, and I've learned so much like from him, like just because he is just who he is. And like I associate reading with affection because that was our quality time together, growing up as, you know, kids. And he would always read fairy tales and myths, Greek myths and stories, and like the Chronicles of Narnia series, and like, those kinds of fun things. And like, yeah, I really, yeah, appreciate and super love my dad for like all that he's taught us, and the love of learning that he instilled in us. And So I'm grateful, like, for both my parents in those ways. And yeah, so it was just like a little, like, more hard this year to accept that he may be lost to me. Like, some parts of him may be lost to me. And, like, making peace with that. Um, he had an injury in 2008 that affected his brain, and he had to relearn everything again. And he was so amazing, really, with his determination, and he wasn't going to fall into self-pity and just waste away. He was determined to live, like, and seeing that part of him where he was like that willingness to fight and to fight for life, like, and not to just give up and be a vegetable, like he worked so hard with, like, learning how to speak again, learning how to write again with his non-dominant side. He was right-handed, and his right side was affected, and he needed to learn everything again on his left side and different things. And, like, just watching his transformation and, like, him heal and overcome that, like, but he never, like, 100%, like, made it all, like, back as he was, but, like, he developed and compensated and developed other strengths and to compensate for the things that were lost and things. And so I understand, like, that he's been afraid for his well-being and for his health and his safety. And I know his core belief systems, like, I understand where they came from. And, like, I have history with those same belief systems. That's like, yeah, some of those belief systems were, with religion and with culture and generation and family and everything. Yeah, I understand all of that. I know where they come from. But yeah, it's just a little more disappointing, like, because, like, in my life, I've, had to make myself over and over and over again, like, through different initiations and different collapses of the tower, falling or imploding. Yeah. So, I just, making peace with that. But there is less of a charge now, like, when thinking about certain things or when certain things pop up from the subconscious or whatever. There's not as much of a charge there around certain wounds and certain things. So that is good progress right there. But I, just haven't really known what to do or say, and I have missed him, but, like, I've kept my distance and my space because I feel like that was best for me and maybe best for him right now. Like, just to leave it alone and to give each other some distance. Like, maybe come back in when things are more clear, And so I did see him a few weeks ago and brought over some, like, soup and some homemade bone broth and some elderberry syrup and different things like that. And it was nice to be with him, and I did my best, like, to allow my story and allow him his story. But yeah, it was uncomfortable, and I didn't want to get back into any debate or who's right and who's wrong or who's seeing clearly and who's not, So, but yeah, it was super important to me for some reason, like, that he be able to see, like, who I really am, or remember who I really am, and maybe consider something else that might be possible. But, like, I've surrendered that, and I've given that back, and I know that all is well as it is, really, in all that it is, for all that it is. But there is an email that I came across the other day that he sent out to his religious transition group, where this is also another reason I admire him, was because after life after Mormonism, uh, so like when we do have like a core belief system, or when our life revolves around a core belief, such as like religion or whatnot, um, yeah, it is connected to all facets of our life a lot of the time, where it is like a huge filter, a huge control mechanism, or like, yeah, our frame of reference that we use to compare uh, certain experiences that we have or that we're having. And so, yeah, like it's very hard and very difficult to transition sometimes, to transition from a belief system that we've outgrown into something new. And it's very, very hard. It's like a death or a divorce or a loss of some kind when we change our mind, or when we change our beliefs, or when, yeah, um, the rug's pulled out from under us sometimes. Like that's how it feels. And so it is good to be with a support group and with others who have gone through those things or can relate to going through those things in their own ways. And so it was like, yeah, really awesome that he's been able to like facilitate that support group and be such a needed light in for those that are like transitioning out of certain belief systems. And so I just think it's like really interesting in a lot of ways, like how we can support one another and be there for one another, and how we can influence and impact one another just by sharing our voices and our stories, and like, yeah, our heartaches and what we've been going through. And like sometimes when we do, like, and I know a lot of people can relate, like that have left a belief system or have left a church or a religion or a group or a community or a culture, yeah, that kind of like our world revolved around or revolved within. I know how painful it can be, like when other people are still in that belief system, like say our families are still like in Mormonism or whatnot. They don't take too kindly to it when we leave. They want us to come back and they think we're doing it wrong, you know? So, if that makes sense. Like they condemn us and judge us sometimes for us leaving, and because it doesn't fit for us any longer, it doesn't work for us anymore, we've outgrown it and we need something more. And so it's just like, yeah, that's kind of ironic in a lot of ways, like where that's how I feel like I've transitioned out of these old beliefs in like big pharma and the sick care system, the sick care system that people think of as a healthcare system. And yeah, and just like there's a lot that relates to that, but I won't go into it right now. But so he had sent an email to his religious transition group because they haven't met for a whole year. And I have like felt like, wow, like I'm sorry that like everyone's isolated right now, like, and just cut off from their family and cut off from their support system. And like it's really unnecessary. Like that's how I see it, is that like we've been controlled and run and programmed by fear, to fear ourselves and to fear our bodies and to fear like death. And a lot of fear has to do with the fear of death, you know, like, and the fear of the unknown. And so like we're very, very susceptible and vulnerable to being exploited through those fears and those desires to avoid avoid those fears and avoid that discomfort, and to want to feel secure and comfortable and stable, and yeah, in a place we belong, in a place that will accept us and receive us. And so reading through the email the other day, I did feel compassion, and I did feel myself softening, and I did feel myself detached from from the outcome. And I just wanted to observe and like, yeah, I do like have much empathy and compassion for how we've all experienced this last year in our own ways, because I know like it has impacted us all in seen and unseen ways, like that have yet to be realized or like fully recognized. And so, yeah, just like I said last time, being curious about what their experience has been, rather than immediately judging and condemning them as being wrong, or yeah, all that. And so I did feel myself like, yeah, just softening and having that compassion. Like, yeah, there's been a lot of groups that he's been missing on. He hasn't been able to have lunch with one of his good friends. It's been a long tradition, like for over 30 years, and just like estrangement and separation from family. And yeah, like I know that hasn't been easy on any of us at all. And so like, yeah, just looking at that and seeing that, like, oh, I do have like a lot of compassion for my dear sweet dad. Like, and I know he's just been operating um, through the system that he feels like most comfortable in, and um, doing what he feels is right and best for his wellness interests and all of that. But it has been very disappointing to see like how good-hearted people and kind-hearted people are easily manipulated and influenced and used as a weapon. And that's like my main like grievance right now. It's like that. It's so sad to me that they're being used like through their own fears and desires, this fear and desire cycle, like um, to push certain agendas that do not serve the whole and do not serve our health or well-being, not at all. And so I'll just share a little bit of what I wrote, and yeah, what came up through that, and how it continues into forgiveness and to letting go and acceptance, being more in acceptance of what is, and honoring, like choosing to honor his journey while honoring my own. And it's just like, how do I do that? I don't know how to do that. So please help me with that. Thank you. So I let go of the need to know and understand. I read an email from my dad to his group, and wow, alrighty then. Vaccination status, or papers, please. They actually believe and think it's for their own safety and their collective and individual well-being. They are completely blind and lost in their stories, myths, and programming, social programming. But are they really lost, or are they just experiencing that lower density to grow and learn and be, to become all they are and all they need? Is that part of their journey that they signed up for, so that they could learn like what they needed to in their own ways? Yeah. So I'm thinking about my ancestors, and in my last video, part 1 of part 5, I began with bat medicine, and in the contrary position, yeah, it's like if you're blocking yourself, you're blocking your future generations. You're blocking those who come after you and follow you, you know? And then at the end of that video, I read a few pages from my book, Faith, Trusting Your Own Deepest Experience by Sharon Salzberg. And included in that was like the Sangha, that we take refuge in the Sangha. Our ancestors are a part of that Sangha. And they're not just like behind us or in the past, they're actually all around us. And we can access like that connection from within us. And so I think that's really, really amazing. Like those that come before us, and those that have come before us, and those that come behind us, and all of that, and that continuity and that stream. And so like it has been a lot about ancestral healing and healing of these ancestral wounds and patterns. Yeah. And so I thought that was really interesting. So a lot of my ancestors are those ancestors that they signed the Declaration of Independence, and they signed the Magna Carta, and they were on the Mayflower, and yeah. And so we do have like such a rich family history, and I really appreciate that my dad does like all this genealogy, and that he'll share like certain things. He'll send emails to the family about, oh, look what I found on this line, or look what I found through this branch, and all that. And so that's like, wow, really amazing. And I just never have been more proud of like my family heritage and my ancestry than I am now, like than I am today and right now. Like I can't even believe like what powerhouses we've had like in our family, and just amazing like richness and the wisdom like that I have within me to draw from, like in my DNA memories. So, but we have gone through a lot of trauma and a lot of conditioning and a lot of programming and a lot of inversion, and just like through the certain perversions and distortions of the lower ego, of the hijacked mind, and like through trauma and like forgetting and amnesia. And so, yeah, there's that too. So, my ancestors are part of the great Sangha that supports me, we, and my family. I pray for them and I pray to them. I bless them and I praise them for all the contributions and all they have shared and given uh, to and for our family and humanity, the whole of humanity. I am the ancestor of the future. For those who follow or come after me, we. I will do my best to choose to serve with love and integrity to the best of my abilities. The whole of my family and humanity, so it is. For all of we, I choose my love for all of me, and will be this love for me, thee, we, and she. It does make me feel sad in a way to see my dad following orders and false directives so blindly. Reading his email last night, and at first seeing that he has struggled with isolation, depression, and family estrangement. But he had mentioned family estrangement, that religious estrangement in the family adds to the burden of what we're going through. And I was like, isn't that the truth? Because that's what this feels like. It feels like a religious estrangement. Not necessarily that we believe in different religions, but it is like a religion, like this belief in science or scientism. And that's like the religious estrangement that I feel like, because our beliefs are conflicting and there's no room for anything else. There's no room like to discuss or to consider anything else. You know, it's all cut and dried and all settled. It's all black and white. When really, nothing is ever settled. There's always potential. And so we're cutting ourselves off from what is possible and from what is actually. That's just the way it is. So, and that made me feel empathetic, sympathetic, and compassionate, hearing that like he's been going through like his own struggles. I know he has felt lonely and conflicted in certain ways, and I do feel love, forgiveness, and compassion for him, and softening, opening my heart more fully for and towards him and others who have been locked in fear, denial, and opposition. So, spread love, compassion, connection. Receive and ask for mercy, grace, and forgiveness, for reconnection, for healing, understanding, calling in the compassionate angel and the neutral witness. So it is, and so let it be. My heart feels some heaviness around letting go of my dad. How can I accept or be in more acceptance? How can I honor his journey and fullness, his choices and his discovery, his heart and his soul? He has such a kind heart and a giving soul. He is playing into the controller's false control. How can I honor his journey and at the same time honor my own? Just choose to. I choose to honor his journey while honoring my own. And if there is this fork in the road, please help me choose the middle way, or the road that honors all. For and through one whole. One for and through the all. The things that feel the most difficult to reconcile right now, I feel it's time to just leave it alone, to forgo. Release and surrender to become whole. I release myself and I bless my soul. I bless and praise the gift of letting go. It's okay to let go. It's okay not to know. It's okay to surrender. It's okay to forego. It's right to forgive. It's right to let go. It's right to forget. It's right to let go. I surrender. I release. I choose to let go. I choose to surrender. I release and let go. I choose to forgive. I choose to forgo. I choose to allow. I release and let go. I'm sorry you don't understand. I'm sorry you don't see what's really happening. I'm sorry you're not seeing clearly. I'm sorry you're lost, confused, and afraid. I'm sorry you're lost in illusion, confusion, and fear, inner pain. I'm sorry you don't see me, remembering me and we. I'm sorry you're unable to free yourself from the spell of tyranny, self deceit, pride, fear, and vanity. The slavery change through psychological warfare, exploitation, domination, manipulation, and emotional wounds of pain, shame, separation, suffering, division, isolation, and oppression. I forgive you and release you. I forgive me and release all. I forgive all to release me. I forgive and release all. I let go of trying to convince anyone or of saving anyone. I choose to love, become, and serve the whole. I let go of all I think I know about all things. I let go to bless and be one with all, to bless and be one with one whole all, to live, honor, and become one through loving all. So it's been almost a year now since I started sharing my alchemy videos. Over 118 videos later, I'm ready to move on and move forward in more fully becoming myself in service to one through all, in service to all through the one. The Emperor, the Son, the Father, the Teacher, the Hierophant, the Leader, the Protector, the Friend, and Familiar, the Empress, the Maiden, the Mother, the Crone, the Daughter, the Midwife, God's Wife, High Priestess, Nurturer, and the Healer, the Hermit, Strength, Judgment, Temperance, Death, the Tower, and the Star, the Sustainer, the Moon, the Fool, the World, the Regenerator, the Magician, the Apprentice, the Initiate, the Servant, and the Master. All my love for all. I'm sorry, I love you, I forgive you, thank you. I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, thank you. I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, thank you. I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, thank you. I'm sorry you haven't seen the parallels, the patterns, the manipulation and deceit. I'm sorry you haven't been able to see the hypocrisy and the harm being done in love's name, in health's name, in community's name, in virtue's name. I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, thank you. I'm sorry, I love you, I forgive you, I release you, thank you. Love is free. Love is free to be. What can I choose, claim, and focus on today? Just being present as best I am able to. What makes me feel joyful and alive? Choose and invite, make room for that love and joy. I am willing. I invite love, peace, truth, goodness, compassion, fullness, and joy. I also allow grief, sorrow, and acceptance. I choose to be authentic and allow these gifts, shifts, and feelings to be felt, met, and released. I also invite and choose patience, trust, peace, faith, and receptivity. Thank you. Thank you, love, from all of me. Thank you, love, for everything. Thank you, love, for healing, changing, becoming, releasing, and the gift of being me. Thank you, love, for everything. Thank you, love, and peace, inclusivity, and becoming whole again. Me, she, we, and thee. Let it go and let it be. Trust in my abilities. Trust in the love there is. Trust in this love there is for me. Trust in this love there is for all. Trust in this love there is for we. Trust in this love there is for everything. Yeah, through everything. Love always. Yeah. The addict, the artist, the savior, the martyr, the ghost, the misfit, the exile, the orphan, the whore, the rebel, the invisible wounded child, the prideful wounded warrior, the sovereign, the queen, the wanderer, the beloved, the innocent, the star, letting go of resistance, temperance, the tower, the sun, and judgment, suspension, letting go, detachment, trust, faith, surrender, equilibrium, gratitude for all. Spiraling upwards, anchoring to roots, to embody the new light, life, love, truth, activating energies, soul aspects, codes, gifts, and inner knowing, becoming, remembering all we are. I accept our limitations and our wounds. I bless the whole and praise the all. I am one love through all I am, opening, strengthening, softening, toughening, all at the same time, growing multidimensionally, all simultaneously. Yes, all for one and one for all through one and one through all. Mental slavery or mastery, medical fascism or freedom, tyranny or free will, ignorance or accountability, willingness, awareness, acceptance, or control, coercion, and domination, Trust, surrender, willingness, participation, liberation, emancipation, empowerment, my responsibility to discern and learn experience. Is it really that black and white with no gray areas? Is it little by little and bit by bit, freeing our minds one day at a time and witnessing overnight miracles? Through the grace of forgiveness and the compassionate witness, to be one with, through, all. To be one with, for, through, all. Is there really a compromise, or is it cooperation? Cause and effect phenomena, universal or self-created patterns and laws. Responsibility for thoughts, words, deeds, and actions. Right thought, right response, correct actions. Best efforts, true intentions, and surrendering, suspension, trusting my own deepest experience. Faith. So there is more that I wrote about that. So my first, impression, I guess, of seeing that email is just like, oh, okay, well, there's this. And it didn't hold as much of a charge anymore. But what he did mention was that, yeah, we haven't been able to meet because of certain limitations and whatnot. But now, our church will now allow us to gather up to this many people, provided half are vaccinated. So please RSVP with your vaccination status. And that part of it, totally, bothered me, because just the inability to see that mindset is actually furthering division, so that we divide ourselves again. And then it's categorizing, here's the bad group, here's the good group, here's the desirable, here's the undesirable. And just not being able to see that I know in the ways that he's seeing it, from the eyes of innocence, really. Vaccination status is the same equivalent, though, of papers, please. Don't understand what is actually going on and happening in so many ways. And that is really disappointing to me, that the hypocrisy and the doublespeak hasn't been able to be fully seen. And I understand why, but it's just really hard for me to be able to reconcile that, because he has such a good, kind heart, but he doesn't see how he's being played, and he's playing into this control, manipulation, and domination. This lower mind of the ego, this lower, hijacked side of the ego. And so it's disturbing to me in a lot of ways, because it insults my soul that we're being manipulated and lied to and deceived, And so I got to work out some things yesterday and today, and I'll come back with a part 2 about what I've been able to receive and see about these themes and things that relate. So for my process of healing and letting go and transmuting and transfiguring and transforming the poison into nectar, the poison into the antidote, the poison into the remedy, through this forgiveness, compassion, and empathy, and allowance and acceptance and willingness, to be, and to allow what is to be, and to allow what is to become all it is, so that we can be freed from our suffering, and our illusions that perpetuate and keep recycling the same patterns of pain and suffering. And so, that's about it for now. And thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I thank you, and I praise you, and I bless you, and I celebrate you, and I celebrate all that we are, and I remember. I love you, and I thank you, and I forgive you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I wish you well on your journey. I wish you all good things, all good discoveries. I wish you nothing but goodwill and peace on your journey to heal. I love you. Bye bye for now.